Alright guys, JT with JT Gaming here. Today, we will be reviewing the Xbox version of Hellpoint. Hellpoint is the newest Souls-like game in the genre, and it has a sci-fi twist. It has everything you want in a Souls-like. Difficult encounters, non-linear story progression, dropped experience on death, PvP, and even co-op multiplayer. All the pieces are here to have a great Souls-like. But let's break it down and see if it has what it takes to put it all together to make a great end product. The game starts you out in a space station as a new spawn, which amounts essentially to a newborn adult human with some type of synthetic augmentations. Your guide is the author, who tells you to come see him, and thus your journey begins. When you speak to him, he tells you that he needs you to collect data for him, because reasons. Listen, I'm all for putting the onus on the player to put the pieces of the story together. Boy, does this game make it difficult to know what's going on. Obviously, you're playing the game for difficult and rewarding combat and exploration, but Dark Souls has really deep lore, well thought out, and it's always there to find if you want it. Hellpoint, on the other hand, doesn't offer the info, and frankly it feels like it's not always there to find. There are green handprints on the wall that act as notes, but most of them are not even related to the story at all. Yellow handprints are notes left by players, although the system only allows symbols, which can make them hard to understand. So, you're killing monsters and bosses to gather bits of info to offer up to the author. It's completely up to you in the manner in which you gather this information, but bosses reward the most data points, so essentially it's all about just beating the bosses. Well, that's it really. Kill stuff and explore to gather data points. But let's be honest, you're just here to kill stuff and explore anyways. Okay, get into some gameplay. Honestly, all the pieces are here. Even the menu system resembles Dark Souls. You have the capability to set up 3 different sets of weapons with shields or other offhand items you can switch to at will. There are 4 armor slots along with 2 slots for modules that act like ring equip slots. There's a mix of standard, magic, and technological weapons and armor in the game. And the sci-fi feel is great. The guns and magic can be a lot of fun to use. The combat seems weighty for the most part, but your weapons can clip through objects and the wall, which can make it look odd. The enemies can also do the same. The encounters are fairly difficult, and you will notice a change in enemy type as you level up, which keeps the difficulty high, even as you're going through older areas of levels you beat when you were much lower leveled. The bosses are definitely varied, and present a real challenge, requiring you to learn their movesets to succeed. Although one major issue I have with the boss fights is that the portals that act in a similar manner to bonfires are always very far away from the boss fights. It's rather difficult to get there with full healing and full health. I almost always went into boss fights missing health or some of my healing items, which can be frustrating when you're fighting a boss for the 10th time and you just needed that one last hit and you have to walk all the way back through a bunch of enemies. It's just not fun, especially with how difficult some of the bosses can be. Although I will say the energy and healing items, they get restored through combat, and it rewards an aggressive playstyle, and it can be nice that you can regen those items. But honestly, resting at the portals doesn't even really refresh them for you. So you do have to play aggressive most of the time. Even when you upgrade the number of healing items you can carry, you only respawn after death with 2, and you have to fight to get to the max limit again. So you either avoid enemies as best you can and go into boss fights with 2 healing items, or you risk losing more than you gain by fighting your way to the boss area. I just think it seems like it's adding a level of artificial difficulty that really doesn't need to be there. Although I will say it is nice to have a way to regenerate those healing items and energy, because in boss fights, by damaging the boss, you can actually get some of those healing items back and restore your energy. So it definitely does help, and it's a design choice that they went with, but sometimes I just don't think that you should have to walk as far as you do, through as many enemies as you do, to get back to the boss to try and fight him again. And the level design, it can be kind of convoluted, especially because the added mobility features that are in the game, the long sprint and the jumps, make it so that they can choose a more vertical level design, which can be really refreshing, but it also means there's a lot of things up and down and below and dropping down and getting up on elevators and things like that, which can make sometimes those long runs to the boss fights even more difficult. But you always have to be looking up, down, left, right, and you'll find secret passages and loot and shortcuts and things like that. So you will feel rewarded for exploring, but sometimes it can just be very confusing. Okay, let's move on to multiplayer. There are 2 systems here for multiplayer. One of them is a match code that you can use to join your friend's game directly, and essentially stay in that game until you decide to leave. This system is really nice because when you join, you stay there. If you die, the host can actually resurrect you at the cost of half their health. It's a nice change of pace to be able to stay in that game and continue playing together. There's also local multiplayer, which is just honestly an added bonus, and I wish was in more games today. The other system is handprints that you can set up. blue or red. Blue is ally, red is enemy. And that way, you can place up a blue handprint, someone else can see it in their game in that same area, and they can come help you out if you're stuck or just want to fight a boss with someone else. The systems are really well done, and it makes it pretty simple to get into a friend's game. You also have the ability to join your friend as an enemy, so that way if you ever want to do PvP or test out some PvP, you can just jump in and do a friendly match with a friend. Although I will say I didn't really see that many handprints around, so I'm not sure how big the community for Hellpoint is, or how often you'd be able to find people that will help or want to fight you. Honestly though, the real issue here with the multiplayer is just how awful it works. Out of the 4 blue handprints I joined, my game crashed twice. The frame skipping made it completely unplayable another time, and finally I was able to join and help someone kill a boss. 25% of the times is not really a good percentage for when I want to join and help someone out. But when I tried using the match code to play with a friend, all of those 3 instances happened again. So sometimes I would join, it would be fine, we will play together. Other times, the frame skipped so bad, it was unplayable. We had to quit out, try and join it again. And other times, it crashed both our games. It would be a really amazing system if it just worked consistently. The ease at which you can join a friend and the length that you can play with them is great. Being able to get pickups, being able to level up while you're in their game, it's just really fun to play with friends. Unfortunately, it can be more than frustrating trying to get it to where all the stars align so it actually works and you can play. One time I joined and I was there, frames weren't skipping, but I wasn't able to hurt anyone. It was like I had no weapons and I was punching them with my bare hands. So it could definitely use some stabilizing. But in addition to multiplayer, there is a ghost system which is kind of cool. So when you die, there's a chance a shadow of you will be summoned and it's going to attempt to kill you. It looks green and fights with the same weapons and abilities you had equipped when you died. It can be quite challenging, especially when it's mixed in with the normal enemies. There's also NPCs scattered around. They have side quests in a similar vein to Dark Souls, where the objectives aren't always super clear, but some of these NPC quest lines can affect the ending of the game if you take those steps far enough, or depending on the steps you take while you're doing them. Alright, honestly, this game has all the pieces to make a great Souls-like, but for some reason it just falls short. The thing about it is all just okay, or worse. Brandon, I will admit that Souls-like games have a tough time, because they're all going to be compared to Dark Souls 3 these days. And that may be unfair, but that's just how it works. The game is okay. It has difficult encounters and non-linear progression, with a decent arsenal available to you. Graphics are decent for the price point, and I really did enjoy the sci-fi twist. If you're looking for a Souls-like to play, instead of starting that 10th character in Dark Souls 3, this game is a good distraction. It's an enjoyable 10 to 15 hour experience at a $35 price point, and it even has a new game plus. I enjoyed my time with this game, for the most part, but after I completed it, I definitely don't intend to play through it again. In conclusion, Hellpoint is a okay Souls-like. It's fun. I didn't hate my time with it. When the co-op works, it really can be enjoyable, but it has a lot of problems, especially when it comes to multiplayer. There are some bugs and glitches here and there. Sometimes bosses won't even move, they'll just sit there and let you beat them, which really kind of takes away from the reward after you beat them. So, if you need a distraction or you're just looking for any kind of Souls-like to play, then go ahead and pick this up. If you're looking for something that's going to be as good as Dark Souls 3, or even close to it, this probably isn't the game for you. But those are my thoughts on Hellpoint for Xbox. If you like this review and want to see more like it, feel free to like and subscribe. If you want to ask any follow-up questions, feel free to comment below, or come hang out when I'm live on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday night, plus Saturday mornings. Twitch link down below. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.